The Medellin cartel and the Sinaloa cartel have dominated the world's drug trade for the past 50 years. Pablo Escobar and El Chapo are two names that remain synonymous with drug dealing, while the latter ran marijuana, cocaine, and heroin transactions out of Mexico to sell them in the United States and Europe. The former ran the largest cocaine operation in Latin America. But who was the bigger kingpin of the two? Who was more powerful? Who was richer? Who had the better Netflix movie made on them? Watch till the end of the video as we compare the biggest drug dealers of all time. Number 5. Background history. Born on December 1, 1949, Rio Negro, Colombia, Pablo Escobar was a poor farmer's son. He had an extremely difficult childhood and had gone through physical abuse from his dad. He was introduced to the drug world when he had planted marijuana and sold them in the local market with his own dad. Humble beginnings indeed. Joaquin Archivaldo Guzman Lora, on the other hand, was born on 4th April in the rough Sierra Madre Mountains of Mexico. He was famously called El Chapo, meaning shorty, due to his stature. The funny part though is Pablo Escobar was of the same height as El Chapo. Makes one wonder, what is the deal with short men and drugs? Guzman was arrested in 2017 following his extradition to the U.S. and was convicted in the New York court and is still in prison. Meanwhile, Escobar's career ended in 1993, just a day after his 44th birthday, allegedly on a roof of a building in Medellin, where he had been shot down by government militants. Number 4. Increasing crime. Escobar's rule lasted primarily from the 1980s and ended around 1993, whereas Guzman came into power relatively late in 1989, making Pablo the historic senior. Guzman also dealt with a variety of drugs like marijuana, ecstasy, heroin, and methamphetamines, whereas Escobar mainly dealt in cocaine. Escobar is said to have a larger history of violent crimes, as his hitmen were dangerously gruesome and are speculated to have committed genocides. Watch our El Chapo's Most Dangerous Hitman video to know more. Number 3. Ascend to the peak of power. Escobar is considered as the biggest coke kingpin in the history of mankind. The Medellin cartel was exporting millions of dollars worth of cocaine to the American market by the early 1980s. By the end of the 1990s, Escobar was providing 80% of the cocaine consumed worldwide and routinely smuggling 15 tons of cocaine into the United States. After taking over the Sinaloa cartel, Guzman oversaw extensive marijuana and opium cultivation across Mexico, directing and influencing a number of South American suppliers who transported his drugs to the United States. The Sinaloa cartel once held significant sway over 24 of Mexico's 32 states, in addition to 50 other nations, including a web-like network throughout the United States. Number 2. Personal life. Loyalty in their personal life was never the deal with both the drug lords. Both Pablo Escobar and El Chapo weren't faithful and frequently engaged in infidelity. El Chapo's Wikipedia page that says wives, at least 4, and children, at least 11, is probably the best example we could give you to prove our point. On paper though, he had 3 children together and resided with Alejandra Maria after their 1977 marriage. This was followed by Estela Pena, a bank employee whom El Chapo abducted. Stockholm Syndrome. How romantic. El Chapo wed again in the middle of the 1980s to Griselda Lopez Perez. Pablo Escobar, on the other hand, is said to have married Maria Victoria Henao and had 2 children subsequently. I don't know about the rest, but it's clear who has won the personal life battle. Number 1. The whole legacy. Escobar reached the pinnacle of his power in the middle of the 1980s. In addition to this, Escobar established an empire on his own that included militants, criminals, soldiers, lavish haciendas, exclusive apartments, and even his own private zoo. Escobar's influence was so great that he even built La Cathedral, a jail, to house himself as well as his sicarios while he was imprisoned in Colombia. The legacy of El Chapo, however, was distinct from that of Pablo Escobar. In contrast to the Medellin cartel, which also started falling apart after Escobar was imprisoned and killed, the Sinaloa cartel continued to operate even after Guzman was arrested, successfully expanding into new areas and nations. Pablo Escobar would emerge as the clear winner if this were just a fight between drug lords and kingpins. But even his influence, wealth, and legacy was also a lot greater than Chapo's. If Chapo was the archbishop, Pablo was the lord. There is no stopping the drug trade, even though Pablo Escobar is just no longer with us, while El Chapo is in prison. Which do you think was the better movie/series, Narcos or El Chapo? Post your thoughts in the comments section.